These guys are trained to recognize trends of lies, or even they can read your body language. So when you are answering questions, do not hesitate. I even advise you practice some of these questions before you get there. And to help you practice, let's go over some of the potential questions that they may ask you if you land at the Canadian border as an international student who is coming into Canada to study. And this is not to scare you, but some students have been set back because they could not answer some of these questions correctly, or maybe they said something that was contrary to the information that they have provided. So it is important to be prepared so that you don't mess up after going through all this stress. Question number 1. Which school will you be studying in Canada? Here, make sure you know the answer and it matches the name on your letter of acceptance. Because the last thing you want to do is to not know the school that you are going to be studying in. Because that will be a very big red flag. A school that you've paid money to, invested your time in, applied for a study permit, and you don't even know the name. So make sure you know the name on your letter of acceptance. And if you are coming to a school like University of Winnipeg, all you have to say is, I'll be studying at University of Winnipeg, and that is it. Don't go explaining other things that they haven't asked for. Question number 2. Which program are you enrolled in at this school? The key word here is enrolled in, because they are expecting that the school would have enrolled you, or you'll be enrolled into the program even before you buy your ticket to fly to Canada. So the answer to this question has to match exactly what you have on your letter of acceptance. If you don't know it, this is the time to double check. Even if somebody made the application for you, make it your duty to at least check what is on the letter of acceptance, the university and the program that you are going to be studying, and at least make sure you are enrolled in the program. Don't go giving other details that they haven't asked for or start telling a story. All they want to know is what is the name of the program. So just mention it. If it's like my program, you are coming to study Advanced Business Management. That is it. Question number 3. What is the duration of your program in Canada? And this one also has to match what is on your letter of acceptance. It's a simple answer. If it's a 1-year program, 1 year. If it's a 16-month program, 16 months. If it's a 2-year program, you either say 2 years or 24 months. And that is it. Your work is done. Question number 4. And this is normally a follow-up to question number 3. And they use this to catch a lot of people. And it goes like this. If your program is a 2-year program, what are you going to do to pay for your tuition in the 2nd year? And in this case, my quick advice to you is, don't go saying, I will work in Canada as a student because I'm allowed to work as an international student. This is a wrong answer, because as part of your application, they are expecting you to at least have the money that you need to pay for your 2nd year tuition readily available, because working to pay yourself through Canada is not one of their requirements when it comes to proof of funds. So your simple answer here can be, my parents, family, or financial sponsor in my home country will send me money on a regular basis. Or you can say, my family or my sponsor has income or savings readily available to pay for my 2nd year tuition. And always remember that after that, there might be a follow-up question to this, because they might request for documents to at least prove that what you are saying is true. So they might request for things like your proof of funds documents or anything of that sort that can verify this statement. So make sure it's readily available to show them in case it comes up. Question number 5 is, where will you be staying? And another variation of this question sometimes is, what will be your address in Canada? What they are looking for in this situation is at least to know that you've made arrangements of where you'll be sleeping when you get to Canada. So if you have already booked an Airbnb or a hotel as a temporary accommodation, make sure you have the documents readily available, at least to show to them. And also, if you have already secured accommodation, be it a rental accommodation or a student's accommodation, that's a hostel or even a shared apartment, make sure that document is readily available so you can show it to them as proof that at least you've made arrangements for where you'll be staying, and be ready to explain further if it's a temporary accommodation, because sometimes they would love to know how you are going to make arrangements for accommodation after, because as a student you need to have a place that you'll be staying at least for the next 6 months to a year whilst you at least integrate into the society. You can't afford to stay in a hotel or Airbnb forever. And if you are one of those lucky people who have a family or a relative or a friend in Canada who is ready to receive you, and at least you will live with them, have their address ready to show to at least the CBSA officers and explain your relationship further if it comes up. And my advice always is only answer what you are asked. Don't go telling stories. They don't care how you know the person unless they ask you. Don't go explaining how that relationship was built over time. You tell them the address, and that is it, how you are related to the person. If they go further to ask other questions, then you answer those ones. Answer what you are asked, and that is it. Question number 6, who will be paying for your expenses here? Another variation of this question that sometimes you might encounter will be like, did you already pay for your tuition fees? In this case, you simply provide proof. If you already made payments, you just provide proof of payment. That's a document or receipt that shows that you've at least made payments. And if it's just a partial payment because you are required to just make a minimum payment, you just have to show the proof of that minimum payment. And now you can show your proof of funds to him on how you are going to get access to the extra funds to at least pay the required money when you finally enter the country, because they would love to see where the money is going to come from, or at least make sure that you have that money ready to pay for that tuition fee when you enter the country. They don't want you to be stranded. The truth is, documents are more powerful when being questioned by CBSA officers because it answers most of the questions that they might have to ask you. If they are asking for proof of payment and you show just a receipt, they know you've paid. If you are showing your proof of funds document, at least it shows them that there is a source of money that's coming in to at least supplement what you have and help you to at least pay for those funds that you need to at least pay. So always have your documents readily available and arrange them accordingly. So as soon as the question is asked, you pull it out and show it to him, and that might get you through faster than you think. Question number 7, what are you going to do when you are done with your program? In this case, please, I'm begging you here, do not go answering this question like, I will want to work after I'm done with my program and I apply for my PR in Canada. This is the worst answer that you can ever give if you are asked this question, because I know in your statement of purpose you wrote that you will be going back to your home country to at least go and add the value that you've gotten here to your home country. You told all those stories in your statement of purpose. This is the time to at least recite those things again. Your answers could be a variation of one of these depending on your situation. Just copy and paste one of these answers that I'm giving, and that might help you. Don't go saying that I'll be working and applying for my PR in Canada, because they are expecting that when it's a temporary resident permit that they are giving you. When it expires, you go back to your home country and that you don't stay here. Even though Canada is expecting you to stay here, don't go saying that I'll be staying here. You can say something like, I'll return to my home country and help my family run our business. Maybe that's what you wrote in your statement of purpose. This is the time to read it back to the CBSA officer. Or you can try something like, I may look at pursuing graduate level education later in another country. Better still, you can also go with something like, and this sometimes works for people who are younger. You can say something like, I don't have an exact plan for my career, but I'll return to my home country and decide with my family. But if you are feeling adventurous enough and you are confident enough, you can try something like, I will maintain my status as an international student here and apply for a postgraduate work permit when I'm done with my studies to help me gain Canadian work experience before I return to my home country, because I believe this experience will become valuable to me when I get back to my home country, as this will help me a lot with my career back home when it comes to applying to larger companies. Question number 8 can be simple as, why did you choose to study in Canada? In this case, your answers can be as simple as, I have family and friends who have studied in Canada and it was a great experience for them. So that motivated me to also apply and at least come here to study. And that is it. One line, bam, and you are done. Or if you already know somebody in Canada and you've told them that you'll be staying with them, you can go with something as simple as, I have family and friends here and I felt it would be safer for me to study outside my home country. And as a result, I chose Canada. And that is it. Simple, short, no long stories. But if you are feeling confident enough and you want to articulate yourself, you can go with something like, my family is supporting me to study abroad to gain international experience. And during my research, I realized that the cost of studying in UK, US, and even Australia was far higher compared to Canada. So as a result, I chose Canada as my destination. Question number 9, and this mainly goes for people who are mature students. That's people who are in their late 30s, 40s, and have chosen to at least leave their comfort zone of working and maybe pick up study permits so that they can study. They may ask you what you do in your home country. That is your profession. Did you take time off work, as in whether you are on leave, a study leave, or you fully resigned from your employment? They might sometimes even ask you whether you'll be returning back to your employer after your studies. In this case, you must reconfirm that you return to your employer if you told them already that your employer is the one sponsoring you, or that you took a study leave and you are currently on that study leave. Or if you resign from your employment, you can tell them that you will be going back to your home country after your studies because you believe that this will help upgrade your career and you go back as a better person and pick up at least a higher role from what you were in before. And always remember that wherever you say, be ready to at least show proof. If you tell them that you're on a study leave, at least have a copy of the study leave letter readily available to show as proof. Don't go lying at this point, because if they ask for it and you don't get it, it might be a different issue. Question number 10. Always remember that if you are coming to Canada only to study English or French, then your responses might be different, because your purpose is to improve your language skills. Do not go mentioning work during your studies or even postgraduate work permit, because you are not even eligible at this stage. You can either mention that you go back to your home country, or you explore a pathway to a program after your language skills have improved. And always remember this, during your whole interaction with the CBSA officer, he will be testing your language skills, be it English or French, to see whether your language skills are at least up to par for the course that you are going to study. So don't be surprised if the conversation switches to French from English, if the course that you are going to study will be taught in French, but you are from an English-speaking country. Another point to note here is, if you show a language document at this point to the CBSA officer, but your language skills are not up to par, that will be a big red flag, because it might show that the language document that you have might be fake. So for instance, if you are going to study in the French language, for instance, and you show a TFA document, but your French language skills is not up to par with what is on the document, that's going to be a red flag. If you're a French-speaking country, but you say you are going to study in English, they look at your IELTS scores, but based on the conversations that he's having with you, your English is not that up to par, it's going to be a red flag. And this can possibly cost you your entry into the country. So be alert when you get there and you are holding a language certificate, but your language skills is not up to par. One thing you have to note is, if you are holding an IELTS score of 5 or 6, he's expecting you to at least be fluent in English to be able to at least communicate with him. So if you are having 5 or 6 in IELTS, but you are requesting for a translator, it's going to be a problem. Got value out of this video, kindly hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to share with family and friends who might be traveling to Canada soon. And please remember to subscribe and join this family. Please let me know in the comment section what you learned, or any other question that possibly you were asked when you entered the country. Thank you, and catch you in the next video. Cheers.